Now get under the covers and out with the lights.
Mom, I'm always awake for ages after the lights are out.
Oh, don't worry, you'll fall asleep right away.
Monster, living under your bed. That monster, he needs to be fed. He's a monster, living under the bed. That monster, he needs to be fed. Sticky residue puddle under the bed. Portal to another realm. I bet where the creatures rule. And the dust bunny pawns are proud to preach to fools. And the sock puppet chills begin to fade to groove. So when you awake from a deep sleep,
one night in 2010, Colin was visiting his mom and decided to spend the night. He was sleeping soundly in his old bedroom when a sound from the hallway woke him up. He laid there for a minute and heard nothing else, but he had to get up and go to the bathroom now. He opened his bedroom doorway and started walking down this dark hallway leading to the bathroom when he bumped into something. He illuminated his phone enough to see a man in dark coveralls, and he looked up to see a Michael Myers mask from the movie Halloween. Colin's heart began to race in fear. Hello, my name is Holly, and welcome to HOLLYWEEN, where we will discuss a true crime story in front of my murder she shed out here in the dark, while you listen to the crackling of the campfire. I hope Michael Myers doesn't come out of the woods at me. I mean, can you imagine that white mask coming out of the darkness? That is terrifying. Watch my husband play a trick on me in a minute. I don't think he has a Michael Myers mask, I hope. Today, we are going to discuss the bizarre murder of Kathleen McGehee. Kathleen and Thomas McGehee were a happily married couple with 4 children. They had moved out of a Bay Area city in California to Manteca 10 years prior. Kathleen's husband, Thomas, would commute back and forth to work. Manteca is known as the family city, but not only that, but the pumpkin capital of the world. In a little over an hour's drive is Dixon, California, home of the largest corn maze in the world at one time, winning Guinness Book status in 2007 and 2014 with 60 acres of corn and over 4 million stalks. It can take up to 2 hours to complete, and you need a map. Also, they encourage you not to call 911 if you got lost. That would be me. I get so turned around. Yeah, very turned around. May get lost going back into the house. Just kidding. Not that bad, I hope. But back to Manteca. Almost 80% of the pumpkins grown in California comes from Manteca. Halloween is a big deal in this area of California. The McGehees enjoyed their new community and were a tight-knit family. They attended Stockton Covenant Church, where they would sit together as a family in Sunday school. Kathleen was a loving, giving, and compassionate woman. She had enjoyed being a stay-at-home mom and homeschooled her 4 children, but they were grown now, so she needed something to keep her busy. Since Kathleen enjoyed helping others, she became an advocate for victims of abuse. Caitlin, the youngest child, had recently moved back in with her parents after completing a master's program and was preparing for a wedding. One of her brothers, Dawson, who was 26 years old in 2011, had recently moved back home too. He had been living with buddies before moving back home. He had quit his job at a macaroni grill restaurant and had been seeing a therapist for the last year due to, according to Dawson, he had been seeing demons in his head. After he moved back home, his family noticed he had developed a strange fascination with horror movies. Although I love horror movies, and it is not a bad thing, but Dawson had formed not just a love, but an obsession with them, watching them over and over 24/7, and then dressing up as the villains, not just on Halloween, but all year long. When his brother Colin had spent the night with the family, he hadn't realized his brother had started wearing masks until that night he stumbled up on him in the dark hallway. And then after that, he would see his brother dressed either as Jason or Michael Myers quite often and at unexpected times. It became very creepy to the family. Yeah, if my brother was doing that, I would have wet my pants nightly as a child. I already slept with a nightlight because I was a chicken. And if I'm going to be honest, I still sleep with a nightlight. Don't tell no one. Shh, our secret. One night, Colin went to a scary movie with friends, and his brother Dawson got up to leave during the movie. And well, Colin's assumption was that he was getting up to go to the restroom. After a while, his brother hadn't returned, so he became worried. So he got up to go find him. He noticed a few rows back a man in a Michael Myers mask. He awkwardly sat back down and hoped his friends didn't notice his brother being creepy in the back. Yeah, I can just hear Colin now say, "Hey guys, if you need any more popcorn or drinks, let me know and I can go get them for you," to keep his friends from seeing his super strange brother. Or even the people he sat by in that row being like, "Yeah, let's scoot down a bit, maybe move out of this row because that's creepy." Dawson would be even driving down the road and put on his mask and just drive like that. And he put on the mask at the weirdest times. He also would stay in his room for hours and hardly spoke to his family. Dawson's college friends would say he had been outgoing, friendly, and funny. But they began to notice some changes in 2008. He began acting depressed and socially withdrawn. Kathleen, who had taken care of her brother before he passed away of Parkinson's disease, had the desire to care for those who needed help, which is how Dawson had ended up back into their home. Dawson was her son, and she felt that he needed her, but of all her children, she always seemed to baby him the most. After he moved back in, she would cook, clean for him, and pick up after him. Her husband Thomas felt that she did too much for him and would argue with her about it, but Kathleen would often take Dawson's side. This caused some tension in the home after he had moved back in. Not only that, Dawson was refusing to work, and this upset Dad as well. Dawson would often belittle his mother, and if she spoke back to him, he would just sit and angrily stare her down. Dawson's friend said one time in the middle of the night, he showed up at their door saying demons were chasing him. They let him in. He told his friends he didn't want to go home because the demons were physically attacking him. So they let him spend the night. What else would they do? Well, me, I might not be so kind. I might be like, sorry about those demons, and just slam the door. It's kind of crazy, if you ask me. Maybe I'm not as nice as them, possibly. In April of 2011, there was an altercation between Dawson's dad, Thomas, and Dawson. Thomas threatened to kick him out of the house, and Dawson told his father he could not kick him out of the house without initiating eviction proceedings. Authorities were called, and they let Dawson know he could in fact be removed from the house without such proceedings. During this altercation, Kathleen did not come to his defense for once and actually defended her husband. During this time, she had actually been taking classes for her advocate position in victims of abuse. Her eyes had begun to open up in the class after she learned the manipulation techniques that abusers often use on their victims, such as saying things hurtful and passing them off as a joke. Gaslighting, where you use confusing messages to make the victim think their own memories and thinking are just messed up. They don't know what they heard, what they seen, Name-calling and belittling the victim, also using guilt trips or the silent treatment when upset. She began to see that Dawson was using those methods on her. After this fight, the family noticed Dawson started having similar symptoms of his uncle's when he had been diagnosed with Parkinson's. It was not gradual changes either. They were sudden. He started jerking and shaking and also started stuttering. His siblings would notice that these symptoms would come and go, often happening the most when his parents were around. He also started seeing a psychiatrist and was prescribed medications for anxiety and depression. He also started smoking Mary Jane daily. You know, a little puff puff here, puff puff there, every day. I don't know. On October 28th in 2011, Thomas was in China for a business meeting and Kathleen was left to handle everything at home. Kathleen's daughter, Caitlin, had been at a church retreat and her mom was supposed to pick her up in a couple of days. The morning of October 30th, Kathleen went to church with her oldest son, Justin. When Kathleen came home from church, she began making jambalaya for a potluck dinner in her advocate class. During the process of making the rice, she realized she had forgotten how to use the rice cooker that Colin had left at her house when he had moved out. So she called him up, but he didn't answer. So she just left a message. Around 4 p.m. that evening, he called his mom back and explained to her how to actually use that rice cooker. And his mom, who seemed in a very good mood, let him know that she would be picking Caitlin up that evening. And she said that they were so excited to start on Caitlin's wedding plans. When Caitlin called her mother around 5, no one answered the phone, so she left a message saying she was ready to come home. A few minutes later, Dawson called her back, and it shocked her because Dawson never called her on the phone. Caitlin stated to him that she was trying to get a hold of their mom to come pick her up. And Dawson told her, "Oh, well, I don't think the home phone has really been working." But she said, "I tried to call her cell too," and Dawson replied, "I don't think that one is working either." Caitlin found that to be really strange. She assumed he had called her from the home phone, so she asked her brother if she could speak to their mom. He stated, "I'm not at home, Caitlin. I'm not at home." And then he hung up. She tried to call her mom several more times throughout the evening, and no one answered or called her back. Later in the evening, Dawson called her back and said, "Oh, you know what? Mom told me to pick you up. I just forgot." He told her that Mom was really tired and was laying in bed. As Dawson was leaving to get in the car to get Caitlin, he encountered a neighbor who asked him how everything was going, to which Dawson responded, "Oh, you know, the Lord giveth and he taketh away." Thinking that was an odd comment, he didn't even respond. After Dawson picked Caitlin up, he told her that he had some errands to run, including picking up his medicine, which by that he meant some puff puff, that kind of medicine. After Dawson got on the highway, he headed the opposite way from home. Caitlin was tired and just wanted to get home, but her brother seemed happier and just more social than he'd been in years, so she thought, I might as well enjoy this moment. Dawson told her that Mom had been on a diet that was making her really tired, so she had been sleeping more than usual. Caitlin told her brother that her lips had gotten really chapped at the church retreat, so he even offered to stop and buy her some chapstick, which she thought was extremely weird since he never offered to buy anybody anything. When he stopped at Walgreens, she went in to buy the chapstick, but when she went back to the car, he wasn't there. So she went back inside where she found Dawson pacing frantically up and down the aisles. After leaving Walgreens, he then headed to a fast food restaurant so they could both eat dinner. Afterwards, driving in the dark, appearing lost, and explaining that it was not usually dark when he picked up his medication. Dawson parked at a Mexican restaurant and said, I know this might seem a little strange, but Mom understands. We've done this before. I need to park here and walk to where I'm going to go. Caitlin stayed in the car and locked the doors. Dawson returned from wherever he went about 20 minutes later and said he vomited during the walk back to the car. Finally, they got home around 11 p.m. and she carried her bags in and headed to the bathroom, where Dawson stopped her in the hallway and said, "Caitlin, Mom's asleep." She knew her mom was asleep that late and never bothered her mom after she had already went to bed, so she thought it was very strange that he would say that. When she returned to her room and finally got into her bed, she couldn't fall asleep. Something felt off. She just had that little feeling you get sometimes when things don't add up. As she was laying in bed, she kept hearing something in the hallway. So she got up and locked her door and lay back down. It took forever for her to fall asleep, but she eventually dozed off. But when she woke up this time, she needed to use the restroom. Caitlin made her way down the hallway. She noticed a movement in the dark that startled her. She heard her brother say, "It's only me." So she continued to the bathroom, returned to her bedroom, and again locked the door. She continued to hear steps up and down the hallway throughout the night. Even at one point, she thought she had heard the sound of the doorknob turning. But she just thought it was her imagination getting out of hand. The next morning, as she got out of bed to head to the kitchen in order to eat breakfast, her brother stopped her and told her that Mom had got out of bed around 5 that morning and told him that she hadn't slept well that night and was going to stay in bed for the day. Caitlin knew that'd be a really weird thing for her mother to do, since normally she would never do that no matter how tired she was. So when Dawson went outside, she lightly knocked on her mom's door and attempted to open it, but it was locked, and her mom did not reply. She then went into the backyard to try to look in her mother's bedroom window, but the shades were closed. Feeling like she was being paranoid because she did not have any reason to disbelieve Dawson, Caitlin returned to her room. She then went about her day. Dawson told her that Mom told him that if Caitlin needed to do any errands, he was to take her, and during those errands, he was still unusually chatty. When they returned home, a friend picked her up for lunch, and she had noticed her mom's door was still locked. Dawson was startled to see her friend at the house. After her friend brought her home later that afternoon, around 5:30 p.m., she noticed Dawson was no longer home. As she opened the front door to the house, it was eerily quiet. She started up the hallway and noticed her mom's door was still shut. She knocked softly, and then when she received no response, she frantically started knocking harder and harder, but still no response. Butterflies began in her stomach, and she could now hear her heart beating in her chest. She knew in her heart something did not feel right. So she called her older brother, Justin, whom advised her to call 911 for a wellness check. Emergency responders arrived a short time later, broke the lock off the bedroom door, and found Kathleen in a bed filled with blood. The bedroom appeared to be neat and orderly with no signs of break-in or robbery. A Michael Myers mask would be found outside, smeared with blood. The family had suspected Dawson, but after seeing the mask, knew that Dawson had killed Kathleen. She had been viciously stabbed 10 times in the neck, chest, and abdomen with a chef's knife. Also, there were signs of strangulation. When the ME described it, he described it as overkill. Kathleen was still clutching her car keys in her hand as if she had been trying to leave when she had been stabbed by her son. Dawson had become the persona of Michael Myers, entered her room with the dark coveralls and mask, and stabbed her repeatedly, wanting to become a serial killer just like his favorite character, Michael Myers, was. Kathleen's body was found on Halloween of 2011. Dawson was found 2 days later in a bloody leather jacket. During Dawson's interrogation video, he is using the same deception techniques that he had pulled on his family, faking Parkinson's symptoms as soon as authorities walked into the room, but before they entered and after they left, reverting back to normal. Have a look at a short clip of his interview.
All right. How you doing?
Okay, how are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you? Okay. So Detective Miller, this is Detective Barbacino. We've got some stuff we want to talk to you about. We want to talk to you about what happened to your mom.
What happened to my mom?
Well, you tell me.
People called me and said something happened at home to Mom. They were very bad.
Mm-hmm.
What would happen to my mom?
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
I was waiting for my brother and sister to tell me.
Okay. Well, so, was your sister home this weekend?
But I'm supposed to have an attorney?
If you want one.
Am I supposed to have an attorney? I should request an attorney.
Well, that's up to you if you like one. I mean, we'd like to talk to you.
You're supposed to have an attorney. I would offer I would ask for an attorney.
You want to ask for an attorney?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Then I can't bring an attorney right here, right now. So what's going to happen is in a little while you're going to get booked out at the county jail, and you go to the court, and then they'll appoint an attorney for you. So I'm going to have you sit right here for a few minutes until we can get you processed, okay?
What did they say happened to my mom?
Okay. Then at this point, I'm done talking to you. I can't talk to you anymore about the case because you told me that you want an attorney here.
Okay.
All right. If you change your mind about that and you decide you want to talk to me, you need to let me know or let one of the officers here know. Okay.
When can we talk? When do we talk with an attorney?
So you'll go to court and you'll be appointed an attorney, and from there it goes through the court process, and it's kind of out of my hands from there as far as when or if we can sit down and talk. All right. I'm gonna be right back.
Needless to say, he has not been allowed to use the insanity defense. Dawson's father stated that all she ever did was give, talking about his wife of 33 years. He also said that Dawson would only and always take and manipulate, take and deceive, take and subvert, take and lie, take and fake, take and take. He was a predator. His mother was his prey. One of Dawson's siblings stated at his trial that so far there has been no remorse at all, only arrogance. There has been no honesty, only lies. I hold him to be more similar in character to the devil himself than any other human being I have known. Dawson was sentenced to 16 years to life in prison for second-degree murder. I'm unclear why it's considered second-degree murder unless they just couldn't prove premeditation. Just an extra bit of info. Some of you may already know that the Michael Myers original mask is an actual death mask made from Captain Kirk's face, aka William Shatner from Star Trek. Tommy Lee Wallace, the editor for Halloween, was instructed by the director to find a mask, and he bought a mask of Captain Kirk for a couple of dollars at a random store, painted it white, and the rest is history. The original mask is owned by a man who runs haunted attractions. Mark Roberts also owns the boots and the scalpel and keeps the mask in an airtight container. When William Shatner first learned about the Michael Myers mask, he thought it was just a joke. All right, guys, glad you could join me around the campfire for HOLLYWEEN. Hopefully, I can do this a couple more times before the end of October. Stay tuned for my bloopers if you would like. And no, I didn't drop my camera into the fire like I thought I would, so I did pretty good. Well, bye to all my little ghosts and goblins out there. And make sure to join me again sometime at the Murder She Shed And if you haven't subscribed and would like to in order to support my channel, I would appreciate it very, very, very much. Thank you guys. I love you guys, and I hope you are having a great week. Love you, bye. In his old bedroom. What is that? The car's going by this late. Don't they know when to go home, these people? Telling you what, Michael Myers mask better not come out of those woods. To the crackling of the fire. And shots in the distance because I live in the country. Jesus. Now my dogs are barking. Could this get any more difficult? Go, airplane, go. Not just on Halloween, but all year long. One night, Colin went, there's really a spider right now. And you can't see it because it's behind the camera, but it's on this way down towards my computer. As if it's not weird enough out here. One time in the middle of the night, he showed up. What the shit? What's this loud stuff happening right now? I feel like I get hair on my mouth. What's going on here? What's going on up in here? As my little nephew said. Then Dawson told her, shut up, truck. You gotta, in the last few minutes. Oh, my husband never jumped out of the woods in a mask. And I am thankful for that. But he may for the month's over. You never know about him. Because he knows I have to have a nightlight. And I'm scared of the dark. But I have a nightlight. My campfire's the nightlight. And I haven't heard a coyote yet. So we're doing good. It's weird because when I've been filming, I have this little... Wait, which way is it? It's, y'all, this way. You know, it's backwards in the camera. There's a little ghost orb in the corner. I don't know if you can see it when I show this. How cool is that? Just for Halloween. I have this little purple ghost orb. Something to do with the reflection of fire, but I'm not sure. So my son got married this weekend, and I talked about it in the last video, and people said, well, could you leave some pictures so we can see? And I will leave some pictures here and let y'all see. And we'll end it there.
Come to me for your burning love, 'cause I'm the last of the red-hot mamas. They've all cooled down but me. Slap of them, say what do they know? Come get your hot stuff from this volcano. I'm an overheater, try and beat it. Hotsy totsy hottentot. Now it may be snowing, but when I get going, oh baby, I'm hot. You can't keep your collegiate charmers. Their loving isn't worth a dime. Away up in Alaska where the natives freeze, an Eskimo left my hut in his feet.